Okay, so shall we start, everyone? Hi, okay. So, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. On behalf of Yoisho Academy, I'd like to warmly welcome you all. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. Thank you so much, Ria san, for taking out time out of your very busy schedule for us. So, for today, our guest is Miss Riya Haldar. We're really excited to have you all with us, and today's session will cover all of your information regarding how you can build a particular a set career after learning Japanese while being in India. Because as we've understood from our past webinars, not everybody dreams of going to Japan. For some people, it's just about learning the language and building a good career just here in India. So before starting, I'd like to thank our guests. Thank you so much, Riya-san, for taking out time, and also like to thank our audience for taking out time for and just being here. So let's dive right in. Before we start, Riya-san, can we please start with a short introduction of yourself?
Yeah. Firstly, thank you so much for having me here. Really glad to be here today. And for everyone else, hello, I'm Riya. So I'm currently based out of India and I'm working with an American company where I primarily handle and work with Japan. So basically, my role focuses on Japan region, which is where Japanese acts as my niche, right? So for my role, I'm currently working as a product owner. And yeah, I think that would be my short introduction.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so Riya-san, what inspired you to learn Japanese?
Hmm. Um, I think it has. I'd actually have to go back to my childhood because it did not really start with Japanese for me. For me, it was that my father was in central government, so we would keep moving states in India, and that gave me a lot of exposure into new cultures and languages. Sometimes also language was a survival skill because, say, for example, from north you're moving to the south, unless you know the language, you can't really navigate your day-to-day life, right?
Right.
So that's where I actually got into the thing of learning a language, and I got confidence that because I think not everybody can learn a language. I felt that
Mm-hmm.
I could. So I think that was the first step for me. And during the later years, during my high school, my elder brother was learning Japanese as
Oh,
his optional subject. Yeah. So I think I got introduced to Japanese as a language that one can learn and build a career out of during that time. So I
oh,
think both of them put together was what inspired me because I was confident that I could do it. And I got to know that it will give me a stable career. So, yeah, I think that was my initial motivation.
well, that's actually pretty similar to me as well because not the moving to different cities part, but I grew up in a multilingual household. My
Mhm.
mom could speak Hindi, Gujarati, Haryanvi. My dad could, and Punjabi as well, and my dad could speak Punjabi. And then I had a lot of friends from different sides as well. So when I grew up, from a very young age, even I was like pretty sure that I had to do something in languages, and it just happened to be some Asian languages. So I just learned Japanese and Korean all together, and mixed it up, like just noshed it up a little. Yeah. So, did you always plan to build a career using Japanese, or was there any other language? Because in my case, I thought I would learn Spanish or Italian, but it didn't. But I did not. I moved on to Japanese. So was it like, or was it always like, since it was like, did you always just learn to learn Japanese?
No, for me, Japanese was ad hoc. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I did not come with this thing of to do something with Japan or Japanese in specific. It was more of the fact that I was doing commerce for my high school, and I was sure I did not want to do that. So I think most of my initial uh, academic decisions were derived from the idea of what I did not want to do. So I knew that I was not going to further continue with commerce. I also knew that I had to do something that will give me a job. So I think both of them put together, and what I just mentioned earlier, seeing my brother learn it, I think I had an exposure because my brother was into anime and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. He would read manga. So looking at him, I knew that it is something. But the reason I pursued it further was looking for a more stable career. So it was not something I dreamt of, but it just became my reality eventually.
I see. I see. So, how did you like start learning it? Self-study? Did you go somewhere to study?
Yep. So for me, what happened was I got enrolled for my bachelor's degree, my undergrad, in Japanese language and literature, in JNU New Delhi. So
Oh,
that's where I started. And I think during that time, we would basically, for me, it started with that. I started learning it in class. But I think what really helped was going back home and studying. So self-study was the later part. You learn something in
obviously.
class, but you have to come back and you just need to like practice it.
Yeah,
So
this is what.
that's,
Sorry, sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. I was just adding to that, that for me it was first learning it in class, coming back and then repeating and just revising the same stuff and learning. Yep.
This is also what I tell to my students as well, that at the end of the day, I'm a teacher. You meet me one, like three, thrice a week for 1 hour each day. I can only finish the syllabus. I can't make a milkshake and just tell you to, oh, drink it, and the next day you'll start speaking like a Nihonjin. Doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. आपको
Yeah.
घर जाके पढ़ना पड़ेगा.
I
Yeah,
actually
that
want to
self.
add something
Mm-hmm.
here because this reminds me when we were in university, we had this professor who would tell us that learning Japanese is very similar to studying maths. You can't not practice maths and then wake up the night before your exams,
Mm.
prepare and just write the exam. You need to practice it to be able to perfect
Yeah,
it. And Japanese also you can't be like okay अभी 2 हफ्ते skip कर देती हूँ फिर कोशिश करूंगी and then class
yeah,
आगे बढ़ गई. I think that won't work. You have to study it for what it is on the same day. Otherwise
correct,
you'll forget.
correct.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and it would get worse if you get a maths question in Japanese because that happens in JLPT.
Yeah.
Because I know I have been through a situation like that. And every time that used to happen, I used to think to myself that the only reason I chose Japanese was to get away from math. Don't do this to me.
I know. I
Don't do this
know.
to me. Like, don't bring in numbers
I
with a
know.
very difficult language. I can't do this.
Yeah.
But I did it. Somehow I did it. Even I don't know how I did it, but I did it. Uh, how long did it take for you to get ready for your job, become like job ready?
Mhm. I think for my personal experience or for people from my batch, most of us started doing arueto or like freelancing, some sort of freelancing work by their second year. So that is what people were doing. So that was, I think that gave us some exposure to the market. But personally, for me, it was when I was finishing my bachelor's degree, is when I got my first offer, which eventually I had to turn down because I went on to further pursue my master's. But so that would be 3 years, right? So I think 3 years is when I got my offer. But if you're like really good with the language and that's all that you're doing, maybe in 2 years or something, you can be like ready for it.
Correct, I see. And what was like the most difficult part for you? Chokai, dokkai, kanji? What was it?
I think kanji is difficult for everyone. Like you
I
just keep
mean, it's
practicing
difficult
and
for me as well, but
yeah.
I enjoy it more than dokkai any day.
Oh yes, that's true, that's true. But I remember we had a sensei who would like who would check the strokes whether we were doing it in the correct order or not. So at
Mm-hmm.
that time, that took a lot of practice. I think
Yeah,
apart from that, even speaking in general, any language takes a lot of time. And then when you're
mm,
learning Japanese, I felt especially difficult because not just Japanese, any foreign language, in our case, Japanese, because you don't have a native with you to practice all the time.
correct.
So to be able to speak was one challenge that I faced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think kanji practicing, but I would probably rate speaking more difficult than kanji.
Oh, okay.
Also because I was not listening to any content. I somehow just could not convince myself to watch.
Oh, so
So
you're not the kind of student who would indulge yourself in the media part of
no,
Japanese.
I found
Do
it
you think
very difficult.
it would have made your life easier if you would have convinced yourself to just get up and like watch anime just for the sake of it, even for like learning the language part?
It did actually. Initially, is the speaking part is what I was struggling with. I think it was not just, it was that what to speak and with whom, like those issues, right? But
Uh-huh.
eventually, when I I saw no other hope, and then I had to watch something to be able to get used to listening to this language and then speaking it. I started consuming some form of content here and there, and it did help.
Mm.
It makes a big
Yeah,
difference.
it makes a big difference because
Yeah.
I think as us Indians, it gets very difficult to find somebody to talk to,
Yeah.
or just in general, right? To be able to have that conversation sessions.
Hmm.
So the only way we can like listen to Japanese is either by watching anime, listening
Yeah.
music, or if you're like paranoid enough like me, you just start talking to yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I used to do. I used to just
Yeah.
start talking to myself.
Yeah.
Made me look like a weirdo, but it did work in my case.
Yeah, but I've heard actually, I think that was a very good thing that you did. I've heard people say that you need to stop thinking in your native language and then
Mm.
translating it in Japanese. You should instead start thinking in Japanese. Like you begin with that because if you keep translating, then you'll continue to just translate. To be able to speak more naturally, I think you need to, as you said, start thinking and then speaking to yourself in Japanese. That helps.
I remember because of this habit, a very weird incident happened with me recently. I could not remember the word for ashtray in English or Hindi. In my mind, it was just Hai Zara, Hai Zara, Hai Zara, and it took like 5 minutes for me to be able to translate Hai Zara into ashtray. And my friends, they were just like looking towards me that, what is wrong with you? Why can't you just speak the language that you've been speaking since you were a kid? But you can only think in this language because it's a habit that I developed.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
yeah,
there.
that happens.
So, how did you practice speaking in the early stages?
So early stages, what we did, as I mentioned, I initially was not consuming any form of content. So our textbooks would, I think, for the first year or so, our textbooks would generally be conversations. We would only have one conversation going on between some Tanaka and somebody, and we would just read that, right? So I think I practiced a lot speaking that out loud. So I
Oh,
would just continue having playing both the roles and continue having those practice sessions with myself. That helped. And eventually I started doing shadowing. So for anybody who's not aware of it, it is basically when you are listening to some form of content in Japanese and you just simultaneously speak whatever
mm,
you're listening to. So that made a difference. Of course, what I'd do is I'd start recording myself. So once that was done, I could just assess like where was I going wrong, pace, punctuations, just pronunciation, etc. So that made it easier to practice.
see. That is pretty much a very good strategy, I'd say, that you've used. Oh, I should use it too. Yeah. Okay, so about your job, what do you do exactly? Can you please tell our audience?
Yep. So professionally, I started out as a Japanese language specialist. So I was initially working in the realm of Japanese language translation, interpretation, or just language related communication. That is the area that I was majorly handling. But a couple of years back I transitioned into a product owner role. So currently I am working as a product owner, and while Japanese is no longer my primary thing that I do, but I work with Japanese customers. So all my clients and my counterparts are based out of Japan. So Japanese now acts as my base of communication, or any aritori that happens, any documentation that we receive, etc., is in Japanese. That is what Japanese is for me majorly right now. But for the work that I do as a product owner, I think we gather requirements from the customers and we put it in a developable format. So we'd either create user stories in Jira, GitHub, etc., and then we pass it forward for the development cycle. And then there's a full cycle, implementation cycle that follows. But yeah, this in brief is what I do.
Okay, that's so basically now starting from somebody who was a Japanese language specialist, we move on to Japanese just being a way of communication. Because if we remove the part that you would not know Japanese, maybe you would not have this job because that's your one
Hmm.
that's your like communication skill that you've been using,
Hmm.
right? So yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to add, I think product owner roles independently exist, but in my case, because when you're working with Japan, you need to know the language because you might be as skilled as you want to be technically, but unless you know the language, because you know the whole format of communication when it comes to Japanese people versus people in India is very different. They're very nuanced, very indirect, and you just need to understand what they're trying to say. So it makes so when you're working with a specific region like this, you need to be bilingual because otherwise, just reading requirements and all is one thing, which also requires a lot of skill. But when it comes to Japan, it just doubles up because you need to know a lot more.
Okay. So, do you interact with Japanese clients like on a daily basis?
Yep, yeah.
Okay. And what cultural differences did you notice of you working with Japanese clients? But I'm sure you're going to office, you're also working with Indian people, people from different regions of the world. So how is it different than working with Japanese people?
Hmm. I feel like, as I just mentioned, Japanese people are very nuanced. They are not very direct, and you need to have that niche to be able to understand what is the exact requirement. They will not come out straight to your face and be rude. So you have to understand what they need and then act accordingly. Uh, in comparison, people that I work with in India, they're very direct in that way. They're very direct. There's no hidden meaning that you need to understand based on the knowledge of culture and language that you have. So that would be one. And when you're working in a kind of setup, basically in IT or like in corporate with Japanese people, uh, actually with both the parties, you will understand that Japanese people are very formalized. Like they would want a lot of documentation, a lot of prep work, etc. before we start with the development cycle, just to ensure that they are reducing risks to whatever capacity that they can, versus people in India are, I feel, a little more flexible. They would, it's fine if everything is not formalized and we take some things ad hoc. So yeah, I think people in Japan are, at least the people I work with, are very, very structured. Very structured. Yeah.
So, Riya-san, do you have any advice for the people who want to be on the same path as you? Like not really go to Japan for working for a longer time, but stay in India and just have a stable career just by learning Japanese. Any
Yeah.
specific advice?
Hmm. I feel like, I don't know. I did not think about the advice part. But if I have to look back, I think no matter how boring it is, you will have to like put in a good amount of hard work into learning the language, because right now you might just feel क्या करना है इसके बाद और big deal, कुछ हो जाएगा N3 से भी हो जाएगा, but नहीं हो पाता actually. It really matters कि आप how you speak, how you conversate, because I feel uh, for me when I transitioned, I learned everything else about being a product owner on the job, but I got the job because I was speaking good Japanese. So you need to choose your niche. I chose language as my niche. And if you're here, I'm assuming that you are also thinking about something similar. So it is important that you give that kind of attention and importance to the language, because it's the initial few years, and once you get in the flow, things will become easier, doors will keep opening, because not many people speak good Japanese and get the work done. So it makes a big difference.
It was pretty similar for me as well in my previous job. It was an HR background job, and I had no experience in the HR line at all. And I was
Mm.
only hired because of my Japanese skills. That's
Yeah,
it. I learned everything in office
yeah,
about HR, hiring, recruitment,
yeah.
and I was working for the Japan market only, and
Mhm.
just made up. Just all I had to know was just I had GLPT N2, and I could speak Japanese. That was
Yeah,
like the only two things I brought on the table, and
yeah,
everything else was just given to me.
yeah.
So
Very similar.
that does make sense.
Yeah. I just want to add
Yeah.
here that because I have had I have given multiple interviews, and I think this is a common thing. I think what I just mentioned, not many people come with the background that we do. I'm not saying that it is something very unique, but quite unique still when you compare with the rest of the market, rest of the people what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So people are actually willing to upscale you when it comes to tech work or anything else that they want to get out of you in the job. But yeah, knowing the language really makes a difference, because somebody else who was probably trying for the same job that you were trying but did not know Japanese would not be getting that job, right?
Yeah.
So it makes a
Or
difference.
maybe does not know Japanese that well because they thought N4 या N3 पे हो जाएगा,
हाँ,
but नहीं हुआ.
मिल जाएगा, कुछ मिल जाएगा, ऐसे नहीं मिल पाता.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's it for my questions. But I feel like that it's quite important for our audience to know who we are, who Yoisho Academy is. So I'll just take 5 minutes out of this time and give a quick run through of Yoisho Academy, and then we'll move on to the Q&A round. Okay, so hi, we are from Yosho Academy. We are an educational institution dedicated to provide high quality Japanese learning programs. But when I say high learning Japanese quality like programs, what do I mean? I do not mean that we're just preparing you to clear JLPT. Yes, that's there, but we also help you in achieving written and verbal skills through a very structured and practical training. What do we provide? There's curriculum, but with a quality, but with quality. Yeah, we're going from basic to boss level. There are super structured lessons, but they're never boring. I mean, IS sensei or VS sensei, we have pretty cool senseis over here. We make sure of that we're never boring. Okay, then we have qualified instructors. We have all of us are N1, N2 level experts, and we know what we're doing. Um, and then we have assessment and progress tracking. When I say that we're not making it boring, what do I mean? So there are regular quizzes, assignments, but not in a way ki, oh my God, I have to write an assignment, but in a way that, oh my God, I have to write an assignment because it's mostly pretty fun work. There are fun activities, flashcards, and everything. And you earn a certificate towards the end to prove that you've crushed it. We have a flexible scheduling system because not everybody is free and a lot of people also have a life. So we have classes at every point of hour that you want, basically night sessions, morning sessions, afternoon sessions, weekday sessions, weekend sessions. And let's say you want to enjoy your life or something else came in between and now you missed the session, so you just had to just press a button and you just get a recording available for you. And it's quite standard course offering. There's no like 30 people in one batch because even I can't deal with that, and I'm sure even you can't deal with that. So we have just like a very small batch, and if you're stuck on something, you can always reach out for a one-on-one session. But now there are a lot of Japanese institutes in the market now. How are we different? You may ask. Highly interactive learning, buddy up role plays. For example, I'll be Tanaka, Riya-san can be Yamada, and we talk amongst ourselves. Real life challenges, there are kanji games, friendly competitions so that you also don't end up fighting. But all of these are given on spot to test your how much you are doing at home. Then there's practical Japanese for life. Everybody, I don't know about everybody, but I am sure people can teach you for your JLPT certificate. They can help you attaining your JLPT certificate up to certain level, but not everybody can teach you कि ऑफिस में कैसे बात करते हैं, ट्रैवल में कैसे बात करते हैं. अगर आपको 7-Eleven से ओनिगिरी खरीदनी है तो आप उनको क्या बोलोगे? No, not every institute teaches you that. We do that. There's a supportive learning community. If you're stuck on anything, you can anytime reach out to your sensei. I have students reaching out to me at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. at night, and I'm there. That's because I rarely sleep, but it happens. I'm just saying that we're always available for you, and if you want to meet us in person, we come to different cities with our anime events, and you can always be there, chill with us, come to our anime events, cultural events, get to know us. It's a very supportive learning community. Yeah, we have highly interactive learning. We'll build you for a conversation that when you leave from your show, it'd be like, oh, I can speak Japanese confidently. And a very supportive learning community. There's like faster progress, and we make sure that you're left with zero doubts. Yes, and you should, oh, and Obviously, just because it's coming out of my mouth doesn't mean it's true. So you can check out our free Hiragana Katakana course. It's a completely free course which will help you in learning Japanese. You can scan this QR code. Even the your Fox is telling you to scan it. Yeah, you can scan the QR code and you can learn Hiragana and Katakana for free. How cool is that? I'm gonna keep it here for 2 minutes so that you can take a picture, scan, whatever. Okay. Then this is our official number for inquiries. Please feel free to contact us. This is our official. This is the number. You can take a screenshot. And my colleague Tushar must have also sent a link or some sort of message with the number in the chat box. Please feel free to fill that form or take number from there as well. And these are our upcoming JLPT batches. For May, we have an N5 N5 weekday weekend batch. Weekday means Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and weekend is Saturday, Sunday. And then we have N4 weekday batch. These are all starting from May. Okay, we can move to our Q&A round. You can write your questions in the Q&A section or chat box, and I'll take them one by one. Okay. Oh, so the questions are starting. Rakesh San says, "What's the cost of the course?" Regarding the cost of the course, Rakesh San, you can just take that number, the number that I just talked about, and you can reach out to our team. They will tell you. And then Gaurav San is saying N2 is must nowadays. Yes, that's so true. It is a must. Okay, I have a question that I could see both Riya San and Prerna San started from non-tech background, and I'm from IT professional. I am learning Japanese. I want to know, like, do developers also talk with clients and Japanese opens some road for them? I started Japanese because I wanted to from childhood. It started just for interest. Riya San, do you want to take the question?
Yeah, I think it makes a difference, Abhinav. So basically, if you can speak in Japanese, then you can speak to the customer to get clarity on your questions, etc., etc. So you do have an option like that where you can interact directly with the client. Whether it opens any road for you or not depends on where you're coming from, whether there are onshore opportunities at your organization, etc. But if you do have onshore opportunities, then knowing the language would really make a difference. You would then, I remember in one of my previous organizations, I was actually training a tech team in Japanese because they had to travel to Japan. So yeah, if you know Japanese and if you're dealing with Japanese customer and counterparts, then knowing the language will help.
Yeah. Okay. I hope that answered your question, Abhinav San. Um, Next we have is from Siddharth San. What helped you with the most while learning how to speak Japanese? Thank you. So basically, tips on how to speak Japanese. Yes. Please take this question, Ria-san. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think this is what we were discussing earlier. For me, what helped me personally was actually speaking. So I would read conversations. So generally, like basic conversations uh, about I woke up, ate this for breakfast, going to office, etc., etc. So we just have like basic N5, N4 level books that have basic conversations. And for me, what helped was actually speaking that out loud. Another thing that I mentioned earlier was shadowing. Shadowing really helped, where you just simultaneously speak while listening to Japanese. That helps build a pace for yourself. That and lastly, speaking to Japanese people will make the most difference, but we will come to that eventually. So these were the starter tricks and basically starter things that I did in order to get more comfortable in having a conversation in Japanese.
And just to add to this, you can just be insane and talk to yourself looking at a mirror.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it works. It worked for me. It
yeah,
does work. It's like tried and tested, so I'm not even kidding. It works.
yeah.
Okay, next is Konnichiwa, ma'am. Hi, I'm Kanav. So I want to ask that I'm fully dedicated to pursuing an MBA in Japan at Waseda or Hitsuto Hitotsubashi University via the MEX scholarship, given my current roadmap of gaining 2 years of work experience while learning for the GMAT and learning Japanese. What specific refinements should I make to my professional profile or research plan to stand out the scholarship committee? And is there a particular mixed application track you recommend for these specific business schools?
So hi Ria, I'm here. I was called,
Oh,
so today's special guest is me. So don't worry, I'll take this question because I know it's very specific. So hi everyone, I think I'm Akash. I'll help you out with most of them. I'm the pinch hitter today. So in terms of your question, I think you have a very good way to say it's a good start point because they do require GRE and they do require work experience for them for you to basically apply for the MBA. What I'll also suggest is that you should look into Hitotsubashi and Nagoya Business School, which is NUCB. That's also two schools that you should look into because they also can take you for MBA as well. So hope that answers.
arigato, Akasha. Next we have is, are there Kaiwa classes? I am guessing that question is for us. So yes, there are Kaiwa classes. They are in between the course. So for example, if I'm talking about an N5 course or an N4 course, before we start with our actual class, the first 10 minutes are dedicated to Kaiwa. So we're basically speaking in Japanese every day in every class. I also have a question. I am a BCA second year student, and also I also want to learn Japanese just for my college campus placement for a company named JTP. So I am stuck with memorizing vocabulary, none with hiragana and katakana.
Is there a
Should I take
question?
it? Yeah, that's a question. That they have done hiragana and katakana, but they are
Hmm.
stuck with memorizing vocabulary. That is
Hmm.
because you
Okay.
haven't started with kanji.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's a question you can take. But the
Go
thing
ahead.
is that so she can keep on doing whatever she's doing, like learning vocabulary and everything, and definitely suggest cert. So what most people think is that N5 and N4 are like easy levels. We can just hack it, and then N3 and N4, N3 and N2 is something we'll go to school, which is I think something that most of the people are getting wrong or getting the opposite. See, once you understand the pen is on the table, में on क्या है and the क्या है, you can easily make the sentence the beautiful pen is on the glazing black table. That is N2 and N3. But for N5 and N4, you need to understand that you need to study structurally, like have a good structure. Maybe, you can join the classes, you can do the self-study, but I think joining classes will help you in that कि एक बंदा बैठ के तुम्हें समझाएगा कि the और on का मतलब क्या है. So yeah, if you're really not understanding कि मुझे where do I go, just talk to these guys or something. But don't think that you can just hack it because some person on Instagram just said कि you can hack it. So yeah, that can be one place for you to start as well.
I'll give you a very small example that a student of mine faced in class. He did N5 on his own, came to N4, and and he could not place particles properly. Every time he was able to, he was just, I'm gonna give him questions. He was placing the wrong particles, especially with ni and a, because both are goal of movement particles, but they're still not the same. I know they're replaceable, but there are certain times they're not replaceable. And second, there were so many forms that he missed. He didn't know that in this is an N5 form. He thought that it would be something that I'd be teaching him in N4, but it's an extra pattern that is for N5. So which is why, structure is very important. Having a super structured class is very important. But yeah, for now, you can just focus on thinking in Japanese. Oh, that's a fridge, it's a reizoko. Oh, that's a table, it's a sukue, and so on and so on. Ma'am, I have cracked just N4 and preparing for my N3. Is there any chance to get a job on the basis of N4? I am from non-tech background and I don't have any major skill.
So I'll take this one. So see with the N4, you have some options like this, SSW visa and everything, but those are not really, those are very much close to the blue collar jobs. So if you're really, really, looking for high paying jobs and wanting to go to Japan, or even for high paying jobs like the one, Adobe is a really good company, man, and Riya is there, and she has already cleared her N2. So I'll say put in efforts, go till N2 or even N1 for that fact, and try for better jobs in India or in Japan as well. And if once you clear N2, you can start teaching as well. Pretty nice teaching and everything. But if you go with this half-hearted N4 and then join a job, that can be a very drastic mistake, because you might just end up with a job which completely destroys your career. It can be a blue collar job and then you're not able to get out of it. So take that step very after a lot of thinking is what my advice would be.
I think if it's just about gaining experience, you can look out for internships in
Yeah,
Japanese. That
yeah.
would also give you that would also let you meet people who are from the same background as us. And you would also learn about language, about how system works and everything, rather than just seeking a job. Just maybe you can look out for an
Yeah.
internship.
So for internship, I think they'll start asking where to get internship. I'll just drop a link on the chat. That's SGIP, which is basically Japan internships for bilingual people.
Mm.
So anyone who's basically already bilingual can reach out to there for internship as well.
Arigato.
Right.
Hi, I wanted to know if there is any scope for construction background person like civil engineer slash architect with 4 or 5 years experience to go and work in Japan. Any website slash hiring companies which hires.
So, if you do not have JLPT, I think it gets difficult for architects in that sense, because it's very much काफी mechanical engineer and civil engineer have a little bit low क्या बोलते हैं, requirement when you compare it to, I think, tech individuals, but they're still there. And abhi bhi, if you open your LinkedIn and type civil engineer and type N3 or something, you'll find something, or someone hiring. But without the JLPT, or without clearing your Japanese level, it becomes very difficult to even have a crack at it. So I think first gauge the market, use LinkedIn. LinkedIn पे तुम keywords डालो अपने, JLPT डालो, Japanese डालो, and see what kind of jobs are available, and then decide if you want to really go for learning Japanese or not. पहले खुद से अपनी research करके then decide कि तुम्हें क्या करना है.
Thank you. Ma'am, currently I'm preparing for N3 in July, but I have a really hard time and boring to memorize kanji and vocab. What should I do? I seriously don't understand how people find kanji boring. I can understand the difficult part, but not the boring part. But okay.
But
Do you want to
I
take the
I
question, please?
personally feel for vocabs, what we used to do was we would हम किसी के नाम या something that we can see उससे words जोड़ देते थे. For example, we had a classmate, उसका नाम हिमानी था. तो हिमा को हम हिमानी से जोड़ के याद रखते थे. So you basically need to associate words to things that you can remember, I think. That might help you remember the vocabulary part. Kanji, I think you'll have to practice, even if it's
So
boring.
was Himani always free?
That's how we actually memorized it. यही बोल बोल के कि फ्री रहती है. नहीं थी फ्री, हमने बना दिया.
Okay.
Yeah.
To each their own. Can you give some info about media designing for PG if someone is looking to build a career in video editing, animation, 3D designing, and all?
So I think I have had a few consultations where people have reached out ki yeah, 3D designing everything. So one place that you can look is the gaming industry. And if you really have the video editing skills sorted, I'll say get some experience in marketing and everything, and then go through the marketing route. Is what I'll suggest, rather than going for a video editor, because there are a lot of video editors in Japan as well now. How do you compare with them? I mean, of course, you can learn your Japanese and everything, but they'll not go for a video editor which does not understand all the Japanese, design elements and everything. I'll say use your skill you for marketing, and go for marketing roles which are there. Right.
Um, hey, I'm from Kenya. How can I join your online classes? Also, I'm looking forward to doing N4 this year.
Yeah, I think you should reach out to the sales staff.
Yes.
I have no
Sales
idea.
staff
Yeah.
will help you. You can just take the number again, Tushar. If can you just please send the message again? Oh, sorry. The message has already been sent and it's pinned right over there. You can just use the form link. Yeah, and I hope sales team is able to help you out. This session was really informative and enjoyable. Riya-san's journey was truly inspirational. Thank you so much, Riya-san. Ma'am, I just completed 12th class commerce, but now I'm thinking of switching to some trade skills and I'm wondering if there is good demand for electrical engineer in Japan, as I'm thinking of pursuing electrical engineering.
So there is, I'll take this one. Yeah. So there is electrical engineering a demand, but I mean, if you can, I don't know, Ria, you might know better. Like electrical engineers, yeah, I think IT engineers are demand, right? I mean, Adobe also goes for
Yeah.
that. Accenture and even all the companies that you have worked with. If you can pivot, I'll say you should pivot because it's not that late. But if you do not like coding or something like that, electrical engineering does have after N2 or something. That's also something you should look up on LinkedIn. I've seen it, but wait, is it in abundance? I'll say not really that much, to be honest.
Okay.
Right.
Kanav says, hello, sir. I'm Kanav. Sorry to disturb you. I'm a big fan of your content. I follow you on Instagram and discovered Yoisho Academy through your content. I'm dedicated to securing a MEC scholarship for an MBA in Japan. Could you please mentor me, help me write a research paper, and refine my roadmap to make my profile stand out, or any more refinements?
That is something I think for me, though. Just reach out to me on DM, man. Mm,
Mm.
yeah,
Or you can book a one on one consultation, that's also there.
yeah.
Akash, sir, will you please elaborate a little bit about your book?
मैं बेचने नहीं आया था आई एम सॉरी टू यो शो गाइस मैं बिल्कुल बेचने नहीं आया था बट अब मैं बेच के जाऊंगा so it's mostly basically about if you are looking into Japan, if you want to know about scholarships, where can you apply for jobs, what kind of roles are very much in hype or in need in Japan, and if you want to come to Japan, what can you eat, where can you live, where can you travel in that sense, what's the cost that will come around, and how does cost of living compare to that of America or Europe. So all that information is something that you can find in my book. Japan is the place to be, and yeah, I think that's something about the book. Hi. Sorry, man.
Is this necessary to join some kind of educational institute of Japanese for apply a MEC scholarship, or I can apply on my own?
So not really. You don't need to join educational institute. So what happens is I think Ria, you will also know we had a friend called I cannot actually say her name. Sorry, I'm sorry. She worked at the MC, and she told me that what I asked her like what kind of people do get selected in MEX, and then she very clearly said that people who have genuine interest for Japan are the ones who get selected. And in terms of research, if your research topic is good, then you get selected. But if you're applying for undergraduate, if you have genuine interest, and how Japanese like having a JLPT helps is that they know you're locked in. They know key you are basically committed to this whole thing, and you're not just saying ki, हाँ मुझे I love Japan like anything and I'll do anything for it. But when you've cleared your N5, you have invested your certain amount of your time, certain amount of your money as well. So that's how they know you're serious in that sense. So the correct answer is that no, it doesn't. It's not necessary for you to join any education institute, and you can apply on your own. But it's beneficial if you have your N5 anything. So yeah, like.
I'm an IT full stack developer, fresher with JLPT N3 and currently studying for N2. Should I go to a language school in Japan for 1 year to improve my chances, or can I get a developer job in Japan directly from India with N3?
So I think in terms of Indian demand, I think Ria, you might know better in terms of if is there an Indian demand for N2 and full stack developer or not.
Not N2. In India, it's N3. He's
Mama.
saying with India, if he can get it with N3, but
Mm.
if he could go to Japan and improve his
So,
chances by studying in a Japanese in a language school.
mm. So yeah, I think if language school can get you geographically in Japan, and applying directly from Japan helps you in that sense, because most of the companies shy away from for waiting for a employee for 4 months, because hiring cycles are short, man. They need people like in 2 months or something. But COE, certificate of eligibility, takes around 4 months to reach you. So that's why people usually prefer hiring from within the country, from within Japan. But that being said, there's not enough engineers in Japan, so they have to pivot and go outside and look for engineers from India. So if you have your N2, I'll say try your luck using Japan Dev, Tokyo Dev, and there are all a lot of websites that are there for engineers in those Sakura Foundation and everything. Go and apply from there. And if you really feel that N2 के बाद भी you're not getting there, then I'll say go for a 6 months ka course for a language school. Using that 6 months ka course, just put yourself geographically in Japan. You don't have to go for a 1 year course, because 1 year course का तुम्हें पैसे भी ज़्यादा देना पड़ेगा. 6 months के लिए आओ, start applying from jobs the first day you reach, and then अगर नहीं भी लगती 6 महीने में, you can still take a 6 महीने का extension, which is special visa. So you have 1 year to apply for jobs when you're in Japan. So that's also something that you can do.
Sir and ma'am, I have recently passed class 10th boards and I'm confused about Mitsui scholarship. Would it be available when I graduate from school for my UG?
So it's there every year, man. I mean, 10th board में अगर तुम पास हो, you should also look into Asia Kakehashi program. That's for 10th, 11th and 12th वाले बच्चों के लिए. Asia Kakehashi program, and yeah, Mitsui scholarship will be there. So don't worry about that. Asia Kakehashi program. मैं chat में डाल दिया.
Hi Sensei, hi Akash-san, konbanwa. I wanted to ask about the latest requirements for IT jobs in Japan. JLPT N2 is now mandatory, or are N3 candidates still eligible? I'm asking because I still see some software developer
Yeah.
roles accepting N3 in LinkedIn, so I'm a bit confused.
Yeah, so it's basically for a certain category of companies which have to, if they're dealing in very much in, let's say, Japanese people, or they have to deal with Japanese customers, like recruitment वगैरह हो गया, or some other like hospitality industry or something like that, then you'll require N2. But if a company is like a product company or a B2B company, which does not require that much of you going into talking with the Japanese natives, you don't actually require N2 for that roles. So in that sense, engineers are still safe with the whole N2 is mandatory wala law or whatever rule that is. Right.
I want to go to Japan in a Japanese language school. That's it.
Mari, ikko to basta na.
Aha, Himada kedai.
So so. Hi.
Hmm.
So yeah, so yeah, man, just reach out to Yoisho. They'll help you out in terms of how to go to a language Japanese language school. But Japanese language school जाने के लिए you have to clear your N5 at least,
Yeah,
because वहाँ पे जाके वो लोग सिर्फ जापानी में पढ़ाएंगे, तो
yeah,
तुम्हारे सर
guarantee.
सब कुछ सर के ऊपर से जा सकता है. तो that's
Hmm.
something that you should be clear with. Like,
Correct. So will you be available through your DM, or the only way to reach out to you will be through the consultation form?
you can just go to my website indoinjapan.com and click on Talk with Akash. That's how you can reach me directly.
Is there any jobs in the field of history with the bachelor's degree?
Nope.
Ma'am, can you tell me a brief information about how would be the chances and demand for AIML or DS jobs? I wish to pursue a CSE degree and BSc in DSAI from IIT Madras with N2, because from this year I started my Japanese study and would attempt JLPT N5 in December. Would it be okay to secure a legit paying job with N2, a CSE BTech degree, and BSc in DSAI?
Yeah. And the very short answer is yeah, man. You're already doing a lot. That should be fine. Yeah.
And we're done with our questions.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, man. Thank you guys for calling me. I'll expect my bank. Sorry.
Thank
I'll just expect my payment for attending session. And thank you guys. Thank you so much for calling. And nice to see you, Riya. So Riya and I are classmates, by the way.
That's
So,
how I landed here today.
okay.
Hi, thank you so much to both of you for taking out time out of your busy schedules and joining the webinar. I hope our audience has gotten all the answers for their questions. And in case you guys have more questions, please wait for our next webinar, which will be soon. You need to be just make sure that you're keeping a check on our Instagram. Right. Hi, otsukare sama deshita. Akash-san, Arya-san. Arigato. Bye bye. Bye bye,
Bye.
everybody. Hi. Bye bye.